Hey there, Sim fans. Welcome back to the channel. And for this 7th installment of the weekly top 5 announcements for Microsoft Flight Simulator on this Sunday, March 14th, there's a lot of good stuff coming your way, so stick around. Okay, Sim fans, now before we get started, there's some notable mentions that we should go over really quick before we do the top 5. The CRJ Model 550-700 from Aerosoft will be released this coming Tuesday. It's going to be approximately $58. I will definitely be picking this one up and doing a future review, so watch for that. Okay, Sim fans, for number 5 is the MSFS Sim Update 3, in other words, version 1.14.5.0, was released this past Tuesday on March 9th. So some highlights for this update are, there's new content. So the FS10 legacy liveries are available now on appropriate planes. There's contrails that are displayed on the player's aircraft. Now, do note that the multiplayer and AI aircraft, that's not supported yet. There's a new customization menu in the world map to further adjust the aircraft to perfectly match specific real-world aircraft. For performance and stability, they fixed various crashes across the title. They fixed a specific crash while using the manual cache. Also, some other updates include the latest ARAC cycle, various autopilot and FMS improvements, various cockpit display improvements, various aircraft engine fixes, as well as cockpit interaction improvements and fixes there as well, and much, much more. For a list of fixes, please check out the link in the comments below for the update and what they address. I won't read them all off to you and bore you. So let's go ahead and move on to number 4. Okay, Sim fans, for number 4 is Microsoft and Asobo have announced their partnership with working title flight mod developers. I'll tell you what, these developers have done some pretty cool things. You probably are aware, like the Cessna J4 mod for Microsoft Flight Simulator, the Garmin G3000 and 1000, and they just improved these things within Microsoft Flight Simulator. Well, now that Microsoft and Asobo are partnering with them, that's good news because they recognize that it's not just in-house. They're extending out, reaching out and partnering with great modders, developers, and all that means is, Sim fans, for us, is we're going to continue to see improvements with our flight simulator, and it is definitely good news. So let's go ahead and just take a moment to listen to these developers.
So I first got involved in Flight Sim in the Flight Sim 4 days. I think that was back in the early 90s, I want to say. And
before all this, I was not very much into aviation at all. I basically knew nothing about it. But now over time, as I learned so much, it really grew onto me.
My first flight simulator experience was, I think, with FS5 back in the early 90s, right after release.
I remember even as far back as the early 90s in MS-DOS playing a bunch of Untitled Chapter and a few other similar things, but I really got into simulation hardcore about 15 years ago.
I started flight simming with Flight Simulator 2000 when I was 12 years old. I remember buying the game online, and it took about a week to deliver, but in reality, as a kid, it felt like an eternity because I was so excited to play it.
My journey with aviation started sort of side by side with real flying and flight sim.
I mean, already as a kid, I cracked open so many toys because I just wanted to see what's inside and figure out how it works.
I remember it was getting delivered on a cold, rainy night. I ran downstairs, grabbed the game, ran right back up, and immediately installed it.
But the thing that struck me was the aircraft and scenery designer. And my brother and I, we would just spend hours and hours in this thing, trying to change the shape of the wing. What happens if we change the root or the chord or the dihedral?
I remember one day I was just watching a little Cessna fly across the sky, and as sometimes happens to me, I found myself wanting to know everything about it, from the physics of flight to the procedures involved.
And I learned so much from the other guys about navigation, procedures, the physics, and so much more.
Like, if we do a barrel roll, what happens if we've got the tail in a wacky position?
And went ahead and got my private license right on my 17th birthday. But all along was also enjoying that sort of quintessential Learjet out of Meigs Field experience with Flight Simulator.
I think for me, one of the most satisfying tests of skill in the sim is to take a cub, go somewhere with just a couple hundred feet of open space, drop full flaps, and try to make a perfect three-point landing at 35 knots.
In 96 or 97, I had the opportunity to fly a few friends back from college to Meigs Field in real life. And that was the first time I had flown in there other than in the sim.
This is going to be my third decade of flight simming. So it's just been such a cool learning experience all throughout. And there's always more to know. You know, when you think you're done learning, you're never done.
So as you can see, what is so great, sim fans, about our community is, like you and I, we have been loving flight simming for either years or maybe we're just getting into it. But there's a strong passion to make things better. And a lot of these developers are doing it for free just because they want to play it themselves and they want to see the enhancements like you and I. All right, let's go ahead and get on to number 3. Okay, sim fans, this next one I thought would be kind of fun to add. Seafront Simulations release vessels Anguilla, if I pronounce that right, St. Martin and St. Barts for MSFS. And so what is it? Well, as you can see behind me, it's available on Orbic's site. You can pick it up today, but it basically adds thousands of vessels around Princess Juliana, TNCM, Grand Case, TFFG, Clayton J. Lloyd International, TQPF, and Gustav III Airport, as we all know, as TFFJ. So high quality PBR ships of various styles and sizes. What they say on Orbix is it brings a living coastline to the area. Again, as I mentioned, it's available now on Orbic's site for about $12 US currency. A notable mention is there's some amazing payware out there for TNCM and TFFG from Airworthy Designs. I have it. I love it. It's amazing. The one thing I'm not sure of is if it's fully compatible with that. It might say somewhere, but I didn't see it anywhere, either on Orbix's site or doing a quick Google search. So if I do end up buying it, I will post if it is fully compatible. Obviously, those of us that invested in those airports want to make sure that we see these cool vessels moving around. I would suspect it will work. If any of you have purchased it and have the airworthy design scenery, please post in the comments below. Let us all know if it is fully compatible. Do check it out. Again, link to it will be below in the comments. All right, let's go ahead and get on to number 2. Okay, sim fans, for number 2, new details on World Update 4 that we all are waiting for. There was an interview with Asobo on Twitch, and so some highlights I wanted to relay to you is what came out of that interview, or some of the things that came out of the interview. France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg will see vast improvements in the simulator through new aerial imagery, points of interest, and all new handcrafted airports. So what handcrafted airports will it include? Okay, it'll include LFHM, EHRD, and LFMN. You may have noticed I read the ICAO codes to you. I wanted to spare you all from me mispronouncing them because I would have. There's 100 points of interest that will be added. Paris and Amsterdam will be reproduced in photogrammetry for the simulator, like we saw with London. Also, you might be wondering about the weather engine. Even though the weather looks great, sim fans and Microsoft Flight Simulator, as we all know, there could be a lot of improvements to it as well. Asobo does recognize this, so they touched on it. Asobo is aware of that, and they are committed to making a major investment in the weather system. So more to come there. Nothing really any deeper than that at this point. If you're wondering when that'll be out, the update is expected sometime in April, so next month sometime. So be patient. We'll all have to be patient as we wait for that new content. All right, now let's go on to number 1. Okay, sim fans, now for number 1. Finally, it's here, right? You probably saw that I had posted on Wednesday when the PA-28R Aero 3 being released from Just Flight came out. I have flown this aircraft multiple times, not a ton, but multiple times. I actually did a live stream last night and flew the thing for probably close to 4 hours and ran it through stalls, power on stalls, power off stalls, even did a barrel roll, and just because it's simulator to see what would happen. Check that live stream out if you want. But again, it was released Wednesday this past week. You can purchase it now from Just Flight's site for $45 US currency. Okay, sim fans, and I also would say the more I fly it, the more I like it. It is a wonderful aircraft. I think Just Flight did an excellent job. There are a few things to note that you should be aware of. I will be doing a full review So watch for that. That's going to be coming up. I hope to have it out within the next week or so. I just want to really dive in more and make sure before I do a review, an honest review of it, I relay everything that I have for concerns and also the things that I want to highlight that are great about it and relay that all to you. So watch for that. I'll be posting that soon. I am a real world pilot. I do have my PPL. I have flown the Aero 3. I also got my PPL in the Piper Warrior, which essentially is the fixed version, and which doesn't have, obviously as much of the power that the Aero 3 has, or the retractable landing gear, or the variable pitch propeller. But I am very familiar with the Piper aircraft, and so watch for that review. I'll be highlighting some things that I think are right on in terms of the aircraft and the flight model, and maybe some things that maybe could be improved a little bit. But again, I think Just Flight did an excellent job with this aircraft. So again, available now. Check it out. Link to it will be below in the comment section. It's finally here, fans, and it's a good one. I can tell you that right up front. It is good. Okay, Sim fans, so that does it for this week's installment of the top 5 announcements for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Stay tuned. Watch for more content. I'll have stuff coming out this week. Obviously, next weekend, planning on doing a live stream on Saturday night. Hey, Sim fans, thanks for watching. And if you like the content, do a thumbs up. Like the video, please, and do subscribe. And as always, blue skies.